Hi everyone, welcome to this seventh edition of International Conference on ICT for Sustainable Development. So we have started this conference physically as well as digitally in both modes, and I invite the participants on digital format for this seventh edition conference. To be precise about ICT4SD, this was an initiative we started in Ahmedabad in 2015. Later on, we carried out it to Goa, and now for last 6 years we have been doing this conference in Goa, and I think it's a pleasure always to be in Goa. I really feel that all of you have not turned up, and we are meeting at a digital platform this time. But I really hope that by the next year, when we have the eighth edition in Goa, I look forward to see you all at that point of time. ICT4SD conference is now a pioneer conference. In its own scenarios, because the number of papers we are receiving over the time in the seventh edition, and which is being circulated from over the time. So this time we have received almost more than 1,000 papers, and once we receive this much kind of 1,000 papers, how difficult it is to review them, to process them, to identify the best out of them, and then raise the acceptances. And there are a lot of issues and processes in the backhand which always goes step by step. But I am really happy that we have received 1,000 papers, and we have processed those 1,000 papers, and after that, in total of 3 volumes to be published by Springer LNNS series, means lecture notes and networks and systems, we will be publishing 3 volumes of that, and 225 papers would be published. I hope already the cover pages of all the 3 volumes is already live on the website. So the process is already started before a month of the conference itself. So I hope that you will see the publication very early, not like always, because the process is already started. And I really thank all the contributors and authors who have trusted us over the time, and who will be joining the conference, and after the conference the deliberations, and I think something fruitful will come out. And I congratulate all the authors who have been selected and who will be presenting their research presentations today in digital format. I can tell you now that today we have approximately 40 physical presentations in Goa at the venue, which is right now going on. And there was earlier an inaugural session and a keynote session with 3 panel discussions, very fruitful. I understand that you all have missed, but we will upload the videos and the audio and the photographs definitely on the website, so you can have a view over them. My welcome is also due to the editors, who are Dr. Shyam Akashe, Dr. Nilanjan De, Dr. Simon Fong, and Dr. Milan Tuba, who have joined me in editing the proceedings of ICT4SD since the inception of this conference, and I hope to do it in the future times as well. So thank you to welcome, and thank you to all the editors. I also welcome Professor Mike Hinchy, who will be speaking today, who is the president of International Federation for Information Processing, formed by UNESCO in the year 1960, and we will have celebrated 60 years last year, and this is the 61st year which is running for the International Federation. Apart from it, he is also a professor at University of Limerick, and heading the research department at University of Limerick, which is called LERO. So welcome, Professor Mike Hinchy. We also have Professor Tuba, who was acting as the Vice Chancellor International Relations for Singidunum University, Serbia, but recently moved to US. And I think we will be getting us to know more about through his address. So I welcome you, Professor Tuba. I understand that it will be a very odd time. You are signing in and you will be speaking, but thank you so much for the trust and belief. I also welcome Dr. Nilanjan De, who will be speaking today, who is also one of the editors of this conference. So a lot of welcome due to every participant and author who has joined this meeting and sparing their valuable time to listen to the presenters as well as the speakers. So thank you so much. And moving ahead, I invite, because we don't have Mr. Patel right now, who is the Secretary General from the Chamber of Commerce associated body of this organization, but we will move on to first Dr. Tuba, Professor Milan Duba. So over to you for your address, sir. Professor Duba.
Good afternoon to everybody. It is a great pleasure to be a part of this conference, at least if not in person, then in this way through this virtual link. I hope you can hear me because something changed now on my screen. And I am very glad that this conference is taking place again as an in-person conference, and for many years I was honored to be a part of that conference, and unfortunately for last 2 years there was that pandemic event which changed the situation, and where we had to struggle to somehow survive in those new circumstances. But now this year we started everything normal again, and it was a pleasure to be in Ahmedabad in spring and see all the friends in India again. And of course, I'm very glad that it will continue. However, especially for this conference, which is a very important conference, which always had very fruitful results, I am in the middle of the process of moving to United States, actually to Texas, San Antonio. And actually last evening, I was able to find an apartment and partially move, but I'm still in the motel room here at, as Dr. Yoshi said, I had a strange time, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm glad to greet everybody, at least in this way. So I'm sure that, again, all the participants will have a great time in Goa. It always has been very good there, and also exchange ideas and publish papers in Springer books, and also to continue this interesting research situation, where right now we have great progress in certain areas. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, for the last 2 years, we had, let's say, important or somewhat distracting events in other areas like pandemic. But actually, without that, we would have much greater production of research papers, because right now we are in the middle of a revolution where for decades we were moving slowly in certain areas, which is normal for regular research. But recently we had some huge improvements that really can impact and change everything in our lives. And of course, I'm talking about artificial intelligence, which is an important area for many decades. And one rather standard problem in artificial intelligence, that is classification. But the result that we had recently using convolutional neural network really changed completely many areas. Most important are maybe medical diagnostics, but also we have self-driving cars and other important areas of applications, where the progress can really be best illustrated on the standard benchmark problem that was used for more than 20 years, maybe 25 years, and that is a handwritten digit recognition. It is important problem with practical applications, but for a few decades now, it is used mostly as a benchmark. It is still a practical problem, but since it has been used for so many years, now all researchers can compare their results on the same benchmark problem, where we have a huge database on handwritten digits, and we can compare our algorithms and how we progress. And As I say, for many, many years, we had a normal research situation where we were making slow progress. And let's say 10, 15 years ago, we were going in classification accuracy from 98 to 98.5, 98.8, 99%, then going above 99, 99.03, and so on and so on. So it was a steady but slow progress. And then suddenly, with all other right circumstances, with hardware development, with huge processing power of graphical processing units, and huge data collected with modern technology, we were able to use some old ideas, that is neural networks, and especially convolutional neural networks, and apply them now in a different environment. And now suddenly the results are so spectacular that, as I mentioned, 15 years ago, we were making this slow progress where our researchers were spending months and months, top world researchers, to make small improvement, let's say from 98.8 to 98.9% classification accuracy. And now in a single session, at undergraduate session at the university, we have hardware and software tools and all those methods developed that when we start explaining this area to undergraduate students, we can, in 45 or 90 minutes, make a model that will start with above 99%. So what was top world research 15 years ago, now all undergraduate students in a first lesson about this topic will make a model that will start above 99%. And then, of course, in the next couple of hours, you can significantly improve it. And when you come to the top world research, the results are really amazing. And then, of course, it brings huge benefits, but also many new problems and philosophical and even political, moral dilemmas, because now for the first time, this artificial intelligence is really somehow out of the control, because it is so powerful, because it is doing things that we cannot completely understand. In earlier years, for each of those classification problems, we had to select features based on which the classification will be done, and we had a total control over the process. Now, the power of these new methods come from the fact that it is using huge number of features that we are not even aware of what they are, and they don't even have names. And because of that, it's very powerful, but because of that, we don't know exactly how it works. And now when we apply it to areas like medical diagnostics or self-driving cars, which are very important and interesting areas, but also if there are errors, and there are always some errors, it is very unpleasant and very dangerous. So when you make a wrong diagnosis and patient dies, or when you have a car which drives wonderfully without driver, but then eventually it gets involved in traffic accidents, then we come to the situation that even though it was so successful before that, more successful than humans, now after that rare error happens, we cannot explain what exactly happened. So this is a very interesting time for young researchers. It's a huge field, and in that area, progress is almost guaranteed. So any graduate student publishing papers, doing research, this is area where there are so many things to be investigated. Practically whatever you start, very soon you will have a good result that will improve on what we had before. So for research, especially younger researchers, it is a very interesting time. And I hope that situations like this, the conference where people can meet and make new human connections, exchange ideas, and so on will be used very well. And once again, for many years, it was very, very pleasant event to be at this time in Goa. And unfortunately, this year I had to address you from San Antonio, Texas at 3 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, I will not be able to be soon in Bangkok conference. But after that, I need a month or two here to settle everything. But after that, I hope I'll again become a physical part of these conferences and will again have a great research results and human contacts. So all the best to everybody and enjoy this time in Goa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Tuba, and we will definitely meet. Look forward to see you in physical times soon. Thank you. Moving ahead, we have with us Professor Simon Fong. I think he has joined the meeting, but he said that he will be joining the meeting, but he has shared a video link for his address. So I request my team members to kindly run that video link so that we can listen to Professor Fong. He is a professor at University of Macau.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Simon James Fong from the University of Macau. I'm very thankful that I'm being invited to give a talk today in the inaugural sections of ICT. Mental development for some software like cloud computing, software as a service, mobile app, and business service management tools. All these are rising up because it's really blending in with the society, is providing the value and meeting the demand. So what actually happened in the early 2020 when the outbreak just happened, everyone was puzzled. We had no idea what was going on. We want to know what will happen then, actually. At that point of time, we still remember. So with Professor Nilanjan D, this is actually breaking a record. We finished this paper in just about, I think, about 5 days, right? Including the experiments and everything. So at that time, we want to know what will happen and when it will end, given a small data set that we have on hand. And then we move on into the next research work, which is a decision-based predictions. What if, because and our model would be able to answer like in a population would,
Yes.
what if the vaccination rate reached like 90%, do we achieve the herd immunity, and how many cases would there be, new cases, things like this. And this is just the article accepted 3 days ago. Of course, with Professor Nilanjan, we were simulating about a city that is having some extreme prevention measure, such as what we call all people tests or citywide tests. Everybody just get testings, swab tests on the nose, and then we lock down the city. So we want to know about if under these extreme measures, how effective it will be when it comes to about preventions. So moving on, that is actually a case in Macau, and as you know, that Macau is a very small city. It's a little dot in the South China Sea somewhere. And we have a red line that essentially means there was a major political decision was made. It started in 18th June, all right, and the cases sort of going up and down, and it started to skyrocket, as you see, and the government actually make a drastic decision, lock down the whole city. All right, so it was a casino city anyway. Locking down means billions of dollars of loss. But amazingly, under this lockdown, in just about 2 weeks, we achieved this zero new infection case in Macau. We're talking about 500,000 population. It's a small population, but it was done, you know. I witnessed that. I'm a live sample anyway. So that was what happened there during the full-scale lockdown. Leaving home is a crime. No joke. Someone was arrested because he went out and smoked a cigarette. He was jailed 5 months. You're jailed 5 months for real. Yes. So under this lockdown, nobody could leave home, and food was dispatched, was delivered to the buildings, to every household, and you know, so we could still survive, you know, under these 2 weeks. But you think about the small, medium enterprises, small shops, retail especially. You have to pay the rent, and you have zero income for half month. How long can this sustain? Well, 2 weeks may be all right. It's a long holiday, but what if a month, 2 months, 3 months? So this will lead to very serious economic consequences. Right, now, this is where I am. I left Macau actually 4 days ago, and I'm now in Beijing. And this is exactly, you look at the background, it's not virtual, it's real. This is where I am in a small cabin. This is a quarantine camp for anybody who enter Beijing, even from Macau or from overseas, right? 7 days, compulsory quarantine, had to be here, isolation. So this kind of facility, well, you may say it's like a prison anyway, you know, very heavily guarded, but it costs money, it costs resource, manpower, and you know. So what I'm trying to say is, even though in a what we call the new normal environment, still people are queuing up to do the tests, and there are QR code that had to be used for access to public places, going to work. It's similar to this Aurora Satu, I think, in India, using a mobile phone mainly to show that our health conditions is okay, and therefore we can enter the buildings and so on. All right, so there's a lot of ICT that is being deployed. Now, what are we actually dealing with or fighting against? As you see that they have evolved. I mean, the virus has evolved, but have we evolved? Right, so this is the big question here. The Omicron variant has become very contagious. However, the fatality rate is similar to the seasonal flu. All right, so it's a bit of sore throat and a lot of asymptomatic cases. So for this kind of what we call the less harmful virus, it's a matter of cost and balances. As you can see, the vaccination, test, so test and track and lockdown, you know, everything would involve costs. All right, and the only benefit maybe we could protect some vulnerable group of people like the elders or those who can't take the vaccinations. But there's a big question actually, no one can really answer. Is it really worth doing it? All right, so many countries adopt this what we call sustainable solution, 3E, early detections, early warning, and early lockdown. All right, so these 3E evolve about our personal health, society, a little bit of culture and lifestyle, but anything bigger that will be political, you know, government decisions, locking down the whole country, stop all the flights, and you know, at the end we have to evaluate about the economics loss. Now, I'm quite interested in this article here by Lancet. It just published in November last year. We are all connected. So even though, just roll back one here, even though a country or a city is implementing this strict lockdown and whatever, it is not really recovering the whole world. I mean, we can't really eradicate the virus by any single nation or the effort of any single nation. We are all connected. We know cause and effect, all right? So the same team actually in the Lancet article was telling us about this. We have to solve the problem fundamentally. Where the virus come from? Think about it. You know, zoonotic. Zoonotic means virus come from animal to human. Swan flu, bats, civet cat, and wildlife trades and urbanizations and destroying the environment, intensive, farming and climate change. All this will contribute to, even though we can get rid of coronavirus right now, but eventually another new virus may emerge. So there was actually a concept called One Health by University of Alaska Fairbanks, all right? And they were advocating that we have to take care about ourselves, human, animal, and the environment in order to have a holistic solution, right? Because of time limit, you may just maybe get hold of the PowerPoint and you can actually go through yourself. Very meaningful. Now, this is my last slide. The big questions, when the whole thing will end, right? So as you can see on the left side here, many factors. However, the key factors, whether it will go away or not, is, first of all, we know that the virus continue to mutate. We can't stop it unless the whole world, every population, every single human being gets vaccinated. But it's not easy. It's not going to happen. All right. So on the other hand, do we have the enough vaccinations, and do we have the enough medical facilities, to withstand the impact? So there could be possible outcomes. We do not know yet. All right. But personally, to answer the question, will coronavirus ever go away? Unfortunately, I gave up hope. No, it won't. I don't think it will. It will totally go away, at least, in the next decade or so. All right. This is the pattern actually that I follow from the Gartner's, hype cycle. All right. So in terms of ICT and research collaborations, I'm welcoming everyone, dear friends from all around the world. I am now the running this medical data mining journal index, hopefully in a year or two. So do feel free, screen capture this and have a look, and we can work together. We can find the solutions, in these. All right, so thank you very much, and that is the end of my sharing today, and I hope that this will inspire everyone in ICT4SD, to carry on this what we call sustainable research effort. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you I would like to thank Professor Fong. I think he hasn't joined the meeting yet, but if he is available, we'll just ask him for again. And what was an interactive discussion about the mutations and the COVID he mentioned about the pandemic. Now I invite Professor Mike Henchy, who is the president of IFIP, as well as the professor at University of Limerick, for your address, sir. Professor Mike.
Thank you, Amit. Hello, everyone. I apologize that I'm not with you in person. This time it was not because of COVID, but because of a strike by Lufthansa. Unfortunately, I was already checked in and they decided to cancel the flights. So, unfortunately, it's been a weird couple of years for all of us. But we've seen how much we rely on IT for just about every form of transport. I have a colleague who's determined to get rid of traffic lights. And in fact, a really interesting experiment in England a few months ago put transponders into cars so that they would slow down when they came to a red traffic light. In other words, the intention was to avoid stopping at a red light. And this reduced carbon emissions by 2/3, which was fantastic. Of course, we have great plans for where transportation will take us in the future. Artemis, as it is now known, is the heavy lift to go to the moon and ultimately to Mars. As you've probably read in the media, this has been fully tested now, and probably the actual launch will be in 2024. We've seen how we use IT in all sorts of production. Industry 4.0 is already on us. Industry 5.0 will be with us. We use it for power generation, for all sorts of telecommunications. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we've been relying on IT for all sorts of medical treatment. And we've just been hearing from Simon about some of the issues related to that. Of course, again, we've had great success with various rovers on Mars. We've put 7 rovers on Mars since 1997. And of course, the helicopter, and we're going to get so much more information along with this. And on Christmas Eve, 24th of December, the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, and it's already started sending back images, some of which you'll have seen, I'm sure. This is the actual telescope. This is not a model. It's not a mock-up. It's the actual telescope without the lenses. This is one of the greatest achievements in scientific research to date. As I said, it's already started sending back pictures, which are astounding. And this is the team who built the telescope. And that's me. You can't quite see, but that is me. So we're reliant on these little devices that many of you will have in your pocket or on the table next to you. It's just become so necessary for us to have these. If you don't have one, it becomes a nightmare. I actually had a problem recently that I lost mine, and it was really, really difficult to function without it. We use all sorts of transactions online, whether it's shopping or having food delivered to us or buying things online. And that has become a new normal for so many of us. But of course, that leaves us open to all sorts of problems for cybersecurity and cybercrime. And here's a hack of Barack Obama's account on Twitter. And it says that if you send him $1,000 in Bitcoin, he'll send you back $2,000. And of course, most people would not be foolish enough to fall for this. And those who did fall for it probably wouldn't understand how to send Bitcoin. But what's interesting is that this is not a fake post. This was actually a hack into his Twitter account, and several other people's accounts were equally hacked by various means. So we're currently in what I like to call a cyber physical social system. So it's cyber because we're reliant on IT and on software. It's physical because we're actually using physical devices, so the Internet of Things and so on. And it's social because we're giving so much information about ourselves to people. We're deliberately giving it to our friends, but we're unintentionally giving it to all sorts of companies and organizations that will make use of that and will monetize that. So we let them know where we are, what we're doing, what we're buying, what we're eating, and they can turn that into a form of data that can be sold to other people, and for which they can then make money by getting us to buy other things that we don't want or eat other things we don't want, etc. So you will have heard, of course, of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. There are 17 goals broken down into 169 different aims. And of course, the intention is to achieve these by the end of 2030. So each year, the United Nations, UNCTAD, publishes the SDG Pulse, which is where it emphasizes a number of the Sustainable Development Goals to be emphasized for the year. So this is published each July. In 2020, it was too late probably to reflect the fact that COVID was upon us, because the Pulse would have been worked on for many months prior to that. Strangely, in 2021, they did exactly the same emphasis and exactly the same goals and did not look at healthcare at all. That's really, really strange, because these 7 actions, of course, are important things, but one would have thought that healthcare was going to be the biggest issue. So Goal 3, Sustainable Development Goal 3, is good health and well-being. And what the United Nations says is that this is health monitoring via emerging technologies, remote contact diagnosis and treatment, population and disease monitoring, preparing for outbreaks, identifying symptoms, performing remote diagnostics, helping analyze trends and projections about outbreaks, and patient knowledge, attitudes, and practices. Well, of course, all of these things are exactly what we've been doing over the last 2.5 years or so. And again, using simple devices like this, like a phone that many of you will have in your pocket or next to you on the table. Unfortunately, some of this did not work terribly well. And in fact, one has to wonder why. So the BBC, for example, asks why the COVID tracker in Ireland works so well, It also worked well in Germany. Why did it not work well in England? Well, the Irish Times can actually explain why. In a very young country, Ireland is only 5 million people, but most of the population are under 30 years of age. So this means that people use technology. And in fact, in the first few days, about a quarter of the population downloaded the app and used it. Compare this to France, where only about 1.5 million people downloaded the app out of a population of about 65 million. And most of these deleted it within 2 weeks. So the point is that not only do we need to have this sort of technology, but the technology has to be embraced and has to be used. And so Ireland has made its app available around the world as open source. Not saying that it's the best app by any means, but it has been successful. But again, that is down to a young population embracing technology. So it's really important that we do that we embrace technology and we understand how important technology is to us and in everything we do. I'm going to play you now a very short video that'll just tell you a little bit about what IFIP does, and in particular in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals.
IFIP is the global federation of ICT professional societies and associations committed to advancing professional and socially responsible applications of technology. Our members are ICT professionals, researchers, academics, teachers, and policymakers who are focused on developing and sharing ICT knowledge and expertise, promoting global digital equity, educating and enhancing public understanding about technology and its potential, and increasing professionalism and professional standards.
IFIP runs over 100 events each year to bring together international experts on different ICT-related topics, to share the latest developments, explore possibilities, and discuss issues of relevance to the ICT profession. We're a strong advocate for digital equity and work closely with other global bodies like UNESCO and ITU to promote understanding of the issues relating to technology and to collaborate on solutions to help us achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
The biennial IFIP World Computer Congress brings together thought leaders from across the globe to share their knowledge and expertise and to discuss emerging technology issues. While our World IT Forum event, or WIT4, is specifically focused on identifying ways to enhance access to technology for developing nations to enable them and their citizens to play an active role in the global digital economy.
Our International Professional Practice Partnership, known as IP3, is the leading group driving professional standards for technologists around the world. And it was responsible for having the importance of professionalism as a key enabler of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals recognized and discussed at the United Nations. IFIP also seeks to raise awareness and understanding amongst the wider community about where technology is going, how it can enhance the quality of our lives, and how to ensure that all peoples have equal access and opportunity. We are uniquely positioned to achieve these outcomes through our global network of technical committees and working groups that bring together experts in different fields to share and enhance their knowledge and to focus attention on key issues relating to technology.
Our members have access to the biggest network of technical experts in the world, enabling them to form valuable connections, grow their knowledge and skills, and contribute to the development of new insights and global standards for ICT professionals.
Ahmed already mentioned that IFIP was celebrating its 60th anniversary. We actually delayed the celebration slightly because of COVID. We have 2 books that are available. One discusses opportunities and challenges for ICT, and the other looks at the research and productive work that has been done by IFIP's various working groups and technical committees. Both of these books are available for purchase, but you can actually download them from our website for free. You can download either the entire book or individual chapters. So please just look at our website and you'll be able to find them there. Thank you very much. Again, great for those of you who've been able to make it to Goa. Apologies I wasn't there with you, and congratulations to those of you who've had your papers accepted. I think 1,000 submissions is an amazing number, and it's quite a small percentage that have been accepted. I think it was 225 papers. That's a huge number of papers, but it's a small acceptance rate. So congratulations to those of you who've been successful, and I really do hope you'll enjoy your stay in Goa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mike. It was really a pleasure to listen to you, and it's unfortunate that you have not make it up, but we'll definitely have you in the next version of ICT4SD in Goa in 2023. Thank you. I have with me Mr. Bharat Patel, who is the Honorary Secretary General of Knowledge Chamber of Commerce and Industry of India, who is a co-partner to this conference. So I hand it over to Mr. Bharat Patel for his address.
Hello, everyone. It's interesting that this has been such a wonderful event that has been overall done. And Mike, we are missing you since we were expecting you here. I know there are lots of other challenges where we could not meet this time. But maybe next year we are certainly going to see you. As mentioned, there are tremendous amount of inflow and influx of the papers which have come in. And yes, very few select have been fortunate enough to present it. But it's very important that we've been able to achieve what we had actually planned. And the amount of research papers that have actually come in, that shows the interest which people have. And I'm sure this research is eventually, when it culminates to the applications which are going to happen, I think it's going to make an impact globally as well. So on behalf of the KCCI and GR Foundation, I'm extremely thankful to one and all those who have participated into this globally, and also those who are in Goa in physical mode. I once again congratulate each one of you, and thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel. And I think we have our last speaker with us, Nilanjan. So I invite Professor De, who is a professor at JIS University, Kolkata, and who is also the editor of ICT4SD conference, for his address as an editor. Dr. Nilanjan.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Now this conference is ICT. We are from the morning itself in the physical mode. We are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, as a short note, I just want to mention a few things. Like, we people all are crazy about data, because any machine learning algorithm, its intrinsic nature is the hungriness of data. But the problem is why we need data and how much data is good for this learning. There is no hard and fast rule that what mechanism is good and how much data you actually require. If you go through any kind of machine learning algorithm, you'll observe that the algorithm actually demands something where it's not about the lots of data, but it's about what is the variation of the data. So how much variability the data is having, that is most important. Because if you look into the neural network system, you will see in neural networking, the major issue is, without knowing the inherent pattern of the data, we try to deploy any machine learning algorithm or neural network. But ultimately, whatever the result we achieve may not be trustable result. So what I'm talking about is, so the inherent behavior or the inherent pattern or the link between the data, if you don't understand, means what is the data, what is the metadata, what is the data all about, or what is the relation between the data, without getting that idea, if you get simply some results, that actually doesn't make any sense that much. So that's why whenever we will go for, coming up with some sort of publication, maybe as a, program outcome, I'm not talking about product. So program outcome, we first need to check one thing very cautiously, that whatever the result we are reporting, is it trustable result? Is it, I can find out an interpretable model of that entire diagram or the system or the object process diagram, whatever we are trying to do. So that is very important to open up the black box. So that's why my one point is, means if you are getting some, sort of algorithm, if you are deploying and getting some outstanding result, like in COVID result, people actually reported 99.9% accuracy. But in reality, actually we have gone through a phase where we observe that papers are coming out, we are getting very, very good numbers, but ultimately no solution. So that's why we have to go and dig into the data so that we can find out that inherent pattern, that behavior, that nature, and we need to understand the data which we are dealing with. So it's fuel, it's always fuel, and getting good data and lots of data is always good. But we have to think about this, that the data should not be garbage data, because if you put garbage, it will ultimately give you garbage. It's a garbage in, garbage out kind of. So anyway, and the lots of papers I think will be presented in online and offline today. So I'm not taking much time, but this is a one actually, as I am working in the area of ML, you can say. So that's why this is one of my knowledge which actually I want to share with you. Maybe it will help you. Anyway, thank you, Amit. Thanks all participants and all the presenters who will actually join and present their papers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilanjan. And now we are at the end of the session. So it's my part to thank everyone for joining this inaugural session of digital version. And I think please stay with us during the deliberations for the technical sessions, which will go on today and tomorrow in digital sessions. All the schedule is already in the website. So please join us as we are stronger together, because once you will join, you will listen, and once you listen, you will collaborate. So that's what the main need of the day is. I request everyone to just put on the cameras to have a group digital photograph so that it could be remembered. And for 1 minute, I request everyone to just put on the cameras so that we can just click a photograph. I think 30 more seconds. I think my team is already taking the photographs. 20. 10. And it's done. Thank you so much, and enjoy the technical sessions, which will be starting at I think 3:15. 3:15 is the time of the session. Yes, Indian time, 3:15 p.m. So enjoy the deliberations and do attend the technical sessions as well. Thank you so much, and look forward to see you all in Goa for the edition of 2023, the 8th edition of the conference. Thank you.